For years, we've watched the facade of the Brown family crumble. We saw the arguments, the manipulations, the slow-motion implosion of a plural family dream. We thought we understood the core of the conflict: one man, four wives, and a seismic shift in loyalty. But what if the story we saw on our screens was just the surface? What if the rot went deeper, spreading beyond the cul-de-sac, implicating those who were always lurking in the shadows? The deception, we can now exclusively report, didn't stop with Kody and Robyn. It became a family affair. What we are about to reveal is a story pieced together from insider reports, leaked legal whispers, and a financial paper trail that Kody and Robyn prayed would never see the light of day. This is the story of how a single forgiven loan became the key that unlocked a conspiracy of breathtaking greed and betrayal. Before we pull back the curtain on the explosive testimony and the documents they never wanted you to see, do me a favor. If you are ready for the unvarnished truth about the Sister Wives saga, hit that like button right now, and if you haven't already, subscribe and turn on notifications. You are not going to want to miss a single second of the evidence we've uncovered. This is the deep dive you've been waiting for. The ghost in the family machine, David and Alice Jessup. For over a decade, they have been the silent partners in Robyn's life. The supportive parents who moved with her, who helped raise her children, who provided a constant, stable presence in the ever-present chaos of the Brown family. On the show, they were portrayed as kindly, quiet grandparents. But behind the scenes, a very different story was unfolding. A story of financial entanglement so deep it would eventually drag them onto a witness stand and into the heart of the family's legal firestorm. To understand how we got here, we need to go back. Not just a few months, but years. The seeds of this scandal were planted long before Christine packed her boxes, long before the move to Flagstaff. They were planted in the fertile ground of a family corporation in crisis. Sister Wives Family Brown LLC, or SWFB as it was known in legal filings. This was the entity, the central pot, where the family's considerable television income was pooled. For years, it was the financial engine that powered their lives. It paid for the homes in the Las Vegas cul-de-sac, the family trips, the children's needs. It was supposed to be a symbol of their unity. In reality, sources close to the family now allege, it became Kody and Robyn's personal piggy bank. As the other wives began to assert their independence, as the family structure fractured, a quiet but significant shift occurred. Financial decisions, once made by the group, were increasingly being made in secret by Kody and his legal wife Robyn. And one of the first and most audacious of these secret decisions involved a staggering sum of money, $75,000. On April 17, 2018, months before the chaotic move to Flagstaff was even finalized, a transfer of $75,000 was made from the SWFB LLC primary account. The destination? A joint personal checking account belonging to David and Alice Jessup. The memo line on the transfer was deceptively simple. It read, "Business loan, property investment." At the time, no one else knew, not Janelle, the family's reputed financial guru, not Mary, the first wife, and certainly not Christine, who was already feeling spiritually divorced from the family. This was a transaction conducted in the dark, a secret pact between Kody, Robyn, and her parents, and for 4 long years that secret was held, until the family finally broke and the lawyers were called in. The paper trail of deceit. When a plural family dissolves, the process is infinitely more complex than a typical divorce. The fight isn't just over one house, it's over a shared financial empire. In the battle to untangle the web of the Brown family finances, lawyers for Christine and Janelle demanded a full forensic accounting of the SWFB LLC. They wanted to see every wire transfer, every check, every withdrawal going back years. And that's when they found it, the $75,000 transfer. When questioned about this transfer during pretrial depositions, Kody and Robyn's story was initially smooth. They presented it as a legitimate business decision. Our sources, who have reviewed the deposition transcripts, say Kody was adamant. He claimed it was a short-term, high-interest loan to David Jessup, an experienced businessman, for a promising land development deal in southern Utah. He asserted it was an investment intended to grow the family's wealth, a smart move, he called it. To back this up, their legal team produced a document, a promissory note. It looks official, doesn't it? It has all the right words: principal sum, interest rate, repayment schedule. It stipulated that David and Alice Jessup would repay the $75,000 principal plus 8% annual interest in monthly installments over 5 years. The document was dated April 18, 2018, one day after the money was transferred. It was signed by Kody Brown as president of SWFB LLC and by David Jessup as the borrower. Case closed, right? A simple, if perhaps unwise, business loan that went south. That's the story Kody and Robyn wanted everyone to believe. But the other wives' legal team wasn't buying it. They started digging. And the first crack in the story was the complete and total absence of any repayments. For nearly 4 years, from May 2018 until the legal proceedings began in 2022, not a single dollar was ever repaid. No monthly installments, no interest payments, nothing. When pressed on this, Kody and Robyn had another document ready. This is where the story moves from questionable business practice to what the opposing counsel would later call outright fraud. They produced a loan forgiveness agreement. This document, dated December 20th, 2021, conveniently just after Christine had publicly announced she'd left Kody and the family's legal situation was becoming tense, claimed that the land development deal had fallen through. It stated that the $75,000 debt was now deemed uncollectible and was being written off as a business loss for SWFB LLC. Now, look closer. This is the crucial detail. Who signed this document, this agreement to simply erase a $75,000 debt owed to the entire family? Kody Brown, president, and Robyn Brown, secretary. That's it. Mary's signature is not there, Janelle's is not there, Christine's is not there. 2 people unilaterally decided to forgive a massive loan of family money, a loan made to one of their parents, and write it off as a loss without consulting or even informing the other business partners. A legal analyst we spoke to who reviewed these document details put it bluntly: this is a textbook case of self-dealing and a breach of fiduciary duty. You cannot, as the director of a company, forgive a massive debt to your own mother-in-law without the consent of the other stakeholders. The optics are horrendous and the legal implications are severe. The paper trail was a smoking gun, but the real explosion, the moment the entire conspiracy was laid bare, would happen in a place they could no longer control: a courtroom under oath. The testimony, a confession on the stand. The stage was set for a legal showdown. The core of the argument from the other wives' legal team, led by a sharp, no-nonsense attorney named Eleanor Hayes, was simple. The $75,000 was never a loan. It was a fraudulent transfer of marital assets, a deliberate scheme by Kody and Robyn to siphon money from the family pot and give it to Robyn's parents. The loan paperwork, she argued, was a sham, created after the fact to provide legal cover. To prove it, she called her star witness to the stand. Not Kody, not Robyn, but Robyn's father, David Jessup. From the moment he sat down, the atmosphere in the courtroom was thick with tension. Robyn, in the gallery, was visibly distressed. Kody stared daggers at Attorney Hayes. What followed was one of the most disastrous and revealing testimonies in modern reality television legal history. We've reconstructed the key moments of the exchange based on detailed reports from observers in the courtroom. Attorney Hayes: Mr. Jessup, good morning. Could you please state your relationship to the defendant, Robyn Brown? David Jessup: She's my daughter. Attorney Hayes: And to Kody Brown? David Jessup: He's my son-in-law. Hayes began gently, establishing the basics. Then she went straight for the jugular. Attorney Hayes: Mr. Jessup, I'd like to direct your attention to April 17, 2018. Do you recall receiving a sum of $75,000 from the Sister Wives Family Brown, LLC? David Jessup: Yes, I believe so. It was a while ago. Attorney Hayes: And what was your understanding of the purpose of that $75,000? David Jessup: Well, Kody said it was to help us out, for our support. A murmur went through the courtroom. This was the first critical deviation from the business loan narrative. Attorney Hayes: For your support? Not for a promising land development deal in southern Utah? David Jessup. A land deal? Oh, well, we talked about that once, maybe years ago, but no, Kody was very generous. He and Robyn, they wanted to thank us for helping with the kids and for everything. He said it was a gift. A gift. The one word Kody and Robyn's entire legal defense was built to avoid. Hayes saw her opening and pounced. Attorney Hayes. A gift? Mr. Jessup, I am now showing you what has been marked as Exhibit 22A. It is a promissory note dated April 18th, 2018. It bears your signature at the bottom. Do you recognize it? David Jessup. It looks like my name. I signed a lot of things for Robyn. She helps me with my paperwork. I don't really remember this one specifically, Attorney Hayes. You don't remember signing a legal document obligating you to repay $75,000 plus 8% interest? David Jessup. No, ma'am, because Kody said we never had to pay it back. He was very clear about that. He said it was just a formality for the taxes or the business, so the other ladies wouldn't get upset. There it was, the quiet part, said out loud, under oath. It was never a loan. The paperwork was a lie designed specifically to deceive the other wives. In his simple, honest confusion, David Jessup had just detonated Kody and Robyn's entire case. Attorney Hayes continued methodically. Attorney Hayes. So, just to be perfectly clear for the court, Mr. Jessup, you never intended to repay this money? David Jessup. No, ma'am, Attorney Hayes. And you never made a single repayment of any kind? David Jessup. No, it was a gift. Attorney Hayes. A gift from Kody and Robyn using the entire family's money that they told you was just a formality to hide it from the other Beams? David Jessup saw. Yes. The courtroom was silent. Kody and Robyn's lawyer did a brief, disastrous redirect, trying to get David to say he was confused about the terms, but the damage was irreparable. The kindly, unassuming grandfather had become the prosecution's star witness. He had, with his own words, confirmed every element of the conspiracy. The transfer wasn't an investment, it was a handout. The documents weren't a contract. They were a cover-up. And the target of the deception wasn't a business partner. It was their own family. The ruling and the reckoning. After David Jessup's testimony, the rest of the hearing was a formality. Kody took the stand and blustered, talking about his authority as the president of the family and the principal of the thing, but his credibility was shattered. Robyn took the stand and cried, portraying herself and her parents as victims of a cruel misunderstanding, but the tears no longer held any power. The paper trail and the sworn testimony were irrefutable. Weeks later, the judge delivered her ruling, and it was a scathing indictment of Kody and Robyn's actions. Courtroom observers described the judge as visibly angered by the evidence presented. We have obtained a summary of her findings from our legal sources. Judge, the court finds the narrative of a business loan to be utterly devoid of merit. It is a fiction fabricated to conceal the true nature of the transaction. The testimony of Mr. David Jessup, while clearly not malicious, was devastatingly clear. This was a gift, disguised as a loan for the explicit purpose of deceiving the other members of the SWFB, LLC. Judge Cohn, the subsequent debt forgiveness agreement, signed exclusively by Mr. Brown and Mrs. Robyn Brown, is not a legitimate business instrument. It is, in the view of this court, the final piece of a calculated scheme. It represents a flagrant breach of fiduciary duty and a fraudulent transfer of marital and corporate assets. The ruling was a complete and total victory for the other wives, but the judge didn't stop there. She didn't just invalidate the loan forgiveness. She crafted a remedy designed to send a clear message. The court ordered that the full $75,000 was not to be considered a loss to the defunct LLC. Instead, it was to be treated as an early distribution of assets, paid exclusively to Kody and Robyn. Therefore, in the final division of the family's remaining assets, the first $75,000 off the top would not be split 4 ways. It was ordered to be paid back, dollar for dollar, directly to Mary, Janelle, and Christine, to compensate them for the money that was taken from them without their knowledge or consent. Let me be clear about what this means. This wasn't just a financial slap on the wrist. This was illegal branding. A judge had officially declared that Kody and Robyn conspired to defraud their family. The ruling proved in a court of law what fans have theorized for years, that the family pot was being systematically drained to benefit one wife and one wife only. The scheme, orchestrated in the shadows, had been dragged into the blinding light of justice, and it proved that the rot extended beyond just the two of them. It had implicated her entire family. The wider plot, a pattern of deception. The $75,000 fraudulent loan was the bombshell, the main event. But our insiders are now suggesting that it wasn't an isolated incident. Instead, they believe it was a test run, a proof of concept for a much broader strategy of financial separation and asset concealment that Kody and Robyn had been developing for years. This is where we move into the realm of exclusive theories based on whispers from those once in the Browns' inner circle. What you are about to hear has not been proven in court yet, but it paints a chilling picture of the long game that was being played. Theory number 1. The DNC pawn shop. Consulting fees. For years, Robyn's parents, David and Alice, were listed as consultants for the family's now-defunct jewelry business, My Sister Wife's Closet. When that shuttered, sources allege that they began receiving similar consulting fees from a new source, a line item in the budget of the DNC pawn shop in Flagstaff, a business venture Kody and Robyn entered into. Insiders question what possible consulting an elderly couple in St. George could provide to a pawn shop in Flagstaff. The theory that these were not fees for services rendered, but another, more subtle way to funnel family money to Robyn's parents, disguised as legitimate business expenses. We're talking about thousands of dollars a year, bled out slowly, in a way that wouldn't raise alarms like a $75,000 lump sum. Theory number 2, the overvaluation of assets. The court ruling on the $75,000 loan has sparked a new legal inquiry into how Kody and Robyn have been valuing shared family assets. The most contentious of these is the Coyote Pass property. The theory gaining traction is that Kody and Robyn have been deliberately undervaluing the other wives' lots while inflating the value of their own, particularly in private financial statements used for securing personal loans. Why? To create a scenario where, upon the legal dissolution of the family, they could buy out the other wives' shares for pennies on the dollar, consolidating the entire valuable property for themselves and their children. The $75,000 scheme shows they are not afraid to manipulate financial documents. Is it such a leap to believe they would do the same with land appraisals? The $75,000 loan was never just about the money. It was about control. It was about loyalty. It was a litmus test of allegiance. In Kody's fractured world, the only people he could trust were Robyn and, by extension, her family. So he rewarded that loyalty with the one thing the entire family was built on, their shared resources. This court case didn't just expose a financial crime, it exposed a fundamental truth about the Brown family's final years. It was no longer a plural family, it had become a covert partnership of two, funded by the assets of many, with Robyn's parents acting as willing or perhaps unwitting accomplices in the grand deception. The question that remains is a chilling one. What else don't we know? What other loans, gifts, and consulting fees are buried in the financial records? The $75,000 scandal may not be the end of the story. It may just be the beginning, and we will be here to follow every dollar, every document, and every deception to bring you the truth. Let us know what you think in the comments below. Was this a simple misunderstanding or a deliberate conspiracy? Subscribe for more Sister Wives deep dives.